Walking Dead, a podcast, pulverizing episodes of the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, but most times we go deep. And thank you for joining us on this late Saturday night, 10 p.m. Obviously, I wished we could have gotten this episode out sooner. I had trouble every bit of the way trying to get this episode out to you. Thank you, Sharon D, for sticking with me the whole day and for helping out with clips. And Rachel's here too in the chat. Why aren't you here? You should be. Well, I don't blame you. It's a little late. It's not our usual repertoire during the week or usual hour to boot. But we're here, and thank you for watching regardless, whether it's now, whether it's on the replay. And if you're so inclined, and if you do want to join into the chat, if you do want to be a part of these episodes, if you want to get these the unedited version of this, which is probably a lot better. I'm just going to throw this out there. This episode is very well edited, but there is a general cohesion and non-technical difficulty going on in the unedited episode recordings. So, to get those, head over to ko-fi.com/squawkingdead. That's right, about there, somewhere there, yep. And just follow us. When you do, you'll know when we do things like record or drop unedited episode recordings or do cool things like jackpot games where you can join with us on screen. And, hey, you don't have to spend any money to follow us. It's free. Set up an account at ko-fi.com and follow us at ko-fi.com/squawkingdead. But if you want to join in on the fun, drop a tip, buy us a coffee. You'll get 30 days of access to our supporter back content. Our supporter back content, which includes, the unedited episode recordings and the ability to join us in the recording sessions and access to our Discord. If you subscribe to $1 a month, you'll get the Discord access. You'll get the party will keep on rolling, and you'll get a ton of other perks too. So, guys, there's not much housekeeping to do, but I wanted to let you in on June's Holiday Tunes, something I flubbed up earlier. June's Holiday Tunes is where you sing a song about June Dory. It's a holiday song. Sing a holiday song and sub out some words for June. Be creative. She has to be mentioned in the song that you sing. For examples, you can head over to Blazy Gardner's Instagram or her Twitter, and she has the rules and graphics up. So does Cosmo109. I will be posting them sometime between today and tomorrow. But essentially, you are in the running when you do submit your submission, your video submission, to receive a Believe in June shirt signed by none other than Jenna Elfman herself. Boom, 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 boom. How big a prize is that? But either way, I think you should do it just because it's kind of fun. I've been singing to myself just before I came on here, and I'm very, very excited to take part in this myself. I, of course, cannot win this prize, but you can. And, hey, it's all about having fun with TWD family, isn't it? So, without further ado, here is the episode in question, and if you tip us during this premiere while you're here, your name and your contribution will show up in this episode forever. Your name will be in lights in this video forever and during every replay. That all you got to do is head over to ko-fi.com/squawkingdead and buy us a coffee during this premiere. But if you're not, hey, thank you for joining us. Remember to like this video and comment if you think you screwed up something or if you pissed you off, because there's definitely going to be that going on. See you in the chat. We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing episodes of the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, but most times, and this time, I'm hoping, in a way, we go deep. I'm your host, David Cameo, and I'm joined by Sharon D, a.k.a. Blazy Gardner, and Survivors Tier member, Jasmine T. I know, that was a little weird, right?
Why did you throw the T in?
I don't know, it's because it's like I think of tea in England, and it's the Jasmine Tea. Jasmine spilling the tea. A new segment of Squawking Dead. Jasmine's tea. Yeah. You're doing the science wrong. You're very enthusiastic, Jasmine. Anyways, I want the world to know that I came in late today, but it was for a good reason. The reason for this is I can't recall the last time
I did a Squawking Dead thing, which was, I know it sounds stupid. I paused, took screen caps, and literally transcribed everything I was seeing. Because there's the newspaper, there's the patient sheet for Barker at the end. The back of the newspaper that Dennis is reading, which he ends up showing the front, which is a completely different headline. So I had to write that shit down as much as I could. It was really the headline that was the only thing that was legible. There's the patient sheet that Kublek happens to have in her safe. And I say the words happens to have because I have interesting feelings about where this is all going to go. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to finally talk about this episode because I walked away with it on first watch with one feeling. And then on second watch, I'm like, oh, something may be going on here. Anyway, so I'm just saying this because it took me longer than usual. I gave myself 3 hours to watch and transcribe and make notes. My feeling is that we won't have as much to talk about. Like, I can tell you the things, and we can't really go into it because most of it's a visual. I can tell you what it is, but it doesn't make sense unless I put it out in a blog. So watch out for the blog for this episode. There'll be tons of screen caps, tons of dictation on what's on the screen, and it's probably going to be recap style. So look out for that. I don't want to do another blog. I'm too lazy. I'd rather just keep it in the same episode. So, because it ties everything together. You can watch the thing as we talk about it, and there's more to it. So apologies to my compatriots, but it'll be worth it in the end, I hope. That's always the hope. Even if sometimes when we go down these research things, it turns up nothing, like the barcode on the patient research sheet. Not the patient sheet for Barker, but the patient sheet found in Kublek's office. I literally took an image program, scaled down the image to 2 colors, and then uploaded it to a barcode scanner site in the hopes that it would scan something. And here's my, like, in my head, I'm like, guys, I'm going to crack the code. It's going to say something funny, like Rick is alive or something. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm thinking in my head. I'm going to be a fucking hero to the Walking Dead universe community. Cannot read. This doesn't look like a barcode, dummy. Dummy, idiot. What are you doing? Stop podcasting. Stop. Your life is over and meaningless. That's what I got. So here I am, everybody. Failure. But I'll post it anyway so that maybe somebody else can do it. Maybe somebody else can scan the barcode. Because I took a couple of copies of the barcode to see.
Did you try taking it to a till?
A till? Oh, no. No, there's web-based scanners that I can use.
I don't know. That was a joke.
Yeah, like a Tesco and a Marks and Spencer.
I work at... No, I don't anymore, actually. Never mind.
That's why I saw the Marks and Spencer box behind you. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, I don't work there anymore.
I disavow Marks and Spencer. Did you guys enjoy this episode? Did it give you fruits with which to eat and partake in?
I liked it a lot more than the first 4 of the season. I don't even know why so much. I guess it's maybe because we got to see everybody and they were somewhat together again, even if it was just for a little bit. Silas, Elton, everybody but Hope, you know? It was better than the last 4. I enjoyed it a lot more.
Which is what you say every time, though, I've noticed. It's like, yeah, this one's better than the last one.
Well,
this one's better than...
Maybe
which
by
is good.
The
it's
end,
a good sign.
Maybe by the end, I'll really be into it.
Right. Maybe by the end, you'll look back and go, this season was great.
You see, is this like Westworld, where we just don't know what's going on through the entire season and then it all makes sense at the very end?
I have a feeling that there's a little bit of that going on.
I'm going to say what I always say.
Kill Iris?
Iris. And that was definitely highlighted more in this episode.
Yeah, I'm feeling that a little bit too, I think. Yeah. There is some nuance there, obviously, because it's me. Because I'm seeing things, but overall... I will say one thing about that, and I don't know how much we are gonna want to talk about Iris in this episode because there's a lot more. There's other people in this series, okay?
Oh, but half my notes just say I hate Iris.
I will say I like watching the other characters play off of Iris's sentiments or attitudes, even if sometimes those characters aren't in the room or with Iris. For example, an example of not in the room, how Leo sometimes sounds like Iris, at least in the Hope stream, but also like in real life. I gotta talk to Lila. I gotta do my thing. I gotta do something stupid. Oh, that was the one thing. And I probably will try to post the reaction video that we created at the end of recording our episode 161, which is Fear the Walking Dead 703. We actually sat down, we created another recording, we did a reaction video of me watching it for the first time, and that was the one thing that almost got me standing up out of my seat. Do not talk to Lila Bellshaw. Do not. What are you doing, Leo? I can't believe everybody here isn't holding his ass down and being like, no fucking way.
Oh, God. Hope saw the tattoo on his hand. Why did no, Dad, do not go do that.
When you get tattoos, it's usually an allegiance of some kind, you know? A heavy metal band, your mom.
Gangs.
Oh, gangs, exactly. Affiliation.
John and
right.
June.
Well, that's the best guy.
I want to read what Alani is saying. Interesting episode. Think this one should have been the first or second episode. And that's actually why it took me a little bit longer to take notes, because, man, there was a lot there. It felt like the way I felt when I was watching the last 2 episodes of last season of Walking the World Beyond. There was like a lot happening, a lot going on. I'm like, I can't miss a thing of this. I can't believe, this is great. Lonnie also says, Iris equals this sister to Hope is such a jerk. She wanted to see her dad, but didn't want to go with Hope. And yeah, we'll definitely talk about that soon. But her fear was that they would be trapped there. But Hope is resourceful. She wouldn't let that happen. Okay, I agree with this, and I think they both don't want to be trapped there at this rate. By the end of this episode, I'm like, I don't know if this is a thing that we want to be in. And then Mario just swooped in just now. Hi, Mario. Welcome to the show. I have a feeling that Lila will bite the dust by the end. Yeah, I think I mentioned that. But, you know, it's funny. Off the heels of the last episode where I said Leo is dust and Mario saying Lila is dust, I mean, mainly because of what she says at the end, being useful to Kublek, my last chance.
I'm really intrigued as to why Jadis is using Gabriel's last name.
Yeah. And Stokes.
I didn't know.
Oh, it's because it wasn't there. Yeah.
What?
Well, so here's the thing.
Was that in the trailer, or was that
in the trailer for next
stinger?
week?
I got the trailer and the stinger confused.
That's fine, but you're stumbling into a problem that we had on our watch, which was the stinger was supposed to be a huge reveal, but at the end of the episode, they decided to play the preview of next week right before the credits / stinger. What happened? Everybody knew that Anne/Jadis called herself Stokes before, and it's spoiling the reveal in the process of the stinger at the end, where we see her at the first, because they went to the bother of having her with the helmet on and all, and saying Kublek has been recalled indefinitely, and in her place will be something Stokes. In the preview. So we got the preview, we found out what her name was, but the Stinger's reveal, that crazy awesome reveal, was ruined because of that preview that we got on AMC Plus. So it's like, what was the purpose of that? And you're obviously watching on download sites, right?
Yeah, but you got the. I saw the same thing you did. Yeah.
Oh, you saw the preview too. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Because it's just a recording. It's just streaming the AMC Plus version.
I see. Mario says Warrant Officer Stokes, which means we all got hoodwinked yet again by a TWD Universe show of a reveal that was, and now spoiled just before the reveal. Like, I mean, can they not do anything right?
I thought it was intentional.
You could tell it wasn't, because. And here it is. I'm writing in my notes. I wrote this exactly in my notes in capital letters. I said, stupid reveal, because she's in her damn helmet. That's no way to talk to somebody. You lift up your visor to talk to somebody. You're not out in the wild fighting walkers. That's the whole point of the visor, is to not see, or the executioner analogy I said. But like, are you Lila's executioner? Are you? Just so mad.
Maybe. Eventually.
Maybe. Just to kind of paint the picture. We haven't seen Barca since last year. And it happens to be that this is the 5th episode. We see him disappear at the end of Tiger and the Lamb, when you see that post-credits scene with Kublek in her apartment and the appliances, and you get a really good sneak peek into the city. And I'll get into why I think it's a city. This unfortunately means that I'm most likely wrong about my idea that the Civic Republic is a republic of many settlements. Or it could be, and this is like the capital city. I don't know. But he is sent to a reprocessing center? I forgot what it was.
I think so. I think that was what it was.
Basically to get an attitude adjustment. It's great to get this scene and to simultaneously see Huck avoiding Barca's fate at the same time. Barca just elucidating a certain feeling, like how can you not be unaffected by this? And Huck twice having said, I was maybe affected by this by being undercover, and seeing what happens to Barca and what doesn't happen to Huck. And that's intentional. It's totally intentional, because it describes something. It describes what happens to Kublek. But we see Barca finally, a season later. He is TSA-481. Okay, so he's going to be joining, I hope, an A. Oh, no. Yeah, so he's going to be Walker. He's going to be a Walker, essentially. They hired you, or, I don't know, maybe the gang will intervene somehow. We don't know. I didn't think about that after I wrote that. I was like, hey, okay, TSA, I have to get to this fucking show. Now I'm here being like, oh man, we hardly knew you.
I want to know exactly what it is that Lila has failed at so far. When she says, I know this is my last chance to get it right, what exactly are they trying to get right? I mean, I guess that's the big mystery of the season.
So I don't think it's a mistake or something like kind of akin to what Dennis did or what Huck did for Dennis to make up for his mistake or whatever it was. I think whatever it is, it has to do with Dr. Abbott, to be honest with you. I think something happened to Abbott and Abbott became a test subject.
I mean, this is obviously something that is apart from the, like, I guess you would say the official research. I mean, I think this is something that nobody else knows about. It's obviously not the fungus research or anything like that. This is something that's secret and hidden. So what is it that they're trying to do that nobody else can know about?
I agree.
Are they working against what they're trying to do with the research facility? Are they like trying to weaponize walkering instead of the other thing?
Talk about this. I'm so excited. I tell you why. In this episode, what is described throughout some of the clues that we get throughout this episode is a distinct lack of understanding or lack of awareness of the CR to the Civic Republic military's operations. Now, what's great about this episode is you get all of these dimensions within the clues, within the newspaper, within discussions, within what you exactly saw and talked about. Because yes, it is an underground military research facility that's underneath the regular research facility. Now, I think the doctors that we see, the doctors that we see like Ellis and Siegel and even Bennett, I think they're working towards what is at least the ostensive view of what needs to be done, like, you know, accelerating the decomposition. But I wonder if what they're doing with Abbott is harnessing the lack of decomposition and maybe trying to harness it to living like a long time or slowing down the decomposition rate or entropy. Or I know there are a lot of doctors talking about slowing down they're trying to increase longevity. These are longevity studies. And we are on the cusp of actually in real life trying to slow down aging and extend our
lifespan.
And so to watch this and watch them try to slow down, you know, allow people to live forever, this kind of idea that maybe the military is pursuing, I don't think they're working on a cure. I think they're actually working on trying to, and not only that, I think they're walking and chewing, they want to walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. They do want to end the zombie cure. I think that's actually kind of secondary. I think they, more than anything, want to pick the winners and losers that get this longevity thing. That's what I think is going on here in the Lila lab. This is why I love this episode. It gave us so much. Possibly, I'll say this as a disclaimer, possibly is going on in this series and the greater universe. Maybe, but I doubt it. They're not going to let this go beyond the world beyond. Seriously. They're not. This is not going to affect The Walking Dead. It's not going to affect Fear the Walking Dead at all.
If they are working on longevity, why is that a bad thing that needs to be hidden?
Well,
like, isn't that, they'd be like, oh, look, we're making it so we can live longer and get rid of the zombie. Why is that? And, I mean, oh, they're evil. Would we qualify that as an evil thing to be doing?
I honestly think, so you draw a very good question that for our standards, we'd be like, yeah, have at it. Do what you need to do. The problem is the doing what you need to do part. I think the way they're, like everything the CR does, the way they're going about it is monstrous. What they're doing, denying Dr. Abbott a burial for starters, possibly having genocided an entire population, most likely at the aims of trying to get this done, maybe.
But how would that tie into taking out Omaha and Campus Colony?
Don't know. But I do know that part of the reason why they do this is to get the CRM to stay in power.
What if they need, like, fresh walkers to experiment with the longevity or the decomposition things, like, en masse? Like, what if they're like, oh, let's see if we can do it, will it work on this mass magnitude?
We've been wrong about what the A stands for, I think. I don't think that the A's are explicitly walkers.
I mean, what if that's why they took out Campus Colony and Omaha? Because they needed a massive amount of fresh walkers to experiment on, like, something to do with the herd.
Okay, so wouldn't they capture many of these people on the way out? Or wouldn't they just inject them with the zombie virus or whatever? Or like just tainted blood or like, do you know what I mean? I know I'm not answering your question really, because I wonder myself, but we don't have all that information. We do see a sheet of test subjects or testing the telemetry of the attack, or because it is a communication sheet. But they are communicating on the vector and telemetry. I saw the word telemetry of from 1040 that day, the Omaha incident. So it's referred to as incident 0200. Start of the incident is 103702, so down to the second. The events is 12. There's 12 separate events. Subjects in this massacre of Omaha is 13,471. So they're testing almost, or maybe more than 10% of that population. And the timeline, the timeline it shows is 10:20 to 11 o'clock. So it all happens in very short order.
Or maybe they're trying to build up a Walker army so they can attack Portland. Maybe Portland needs a much bigger Walker army, so they're using Omaha and Campus Colony as Walker soldiers.
Or to take, to create a major column, maybe an even bigger column. Wow, that's frightening. But let's go back to test subjects, because I want to talk about Barca and what we may be assuming incorrectly is what an A represents. I honestly think after what you said, they may be testing out the A's, maybe test subjects for the longevity study. And Abbott, at least, sounds like he was a failure. And maybe that was the thing that Lila was talking about. It could be that. And it could be even that they had to make him an A subject because maybe Lila did the very thing with Abbott that Leah was about to do with Lila, which is kind of tell them the underbelly of the thing. And, maybe Abbott wasn't originally part of the underground study. Maybe she was just one of the researchers and professors, discussing above. And she let something slip to Abbott. And she had to say, hey, you want to take a look at this research facility I've been working on the podcast I've been working on the side? Do you know what I mean? And then bam, and then he becomes one of the subjects because he looks pretty taken care of, even as a walker, I guess. But I think Barca they're testing lung function. Okay, we're going to go through the patient stuff and exactly what's written down here and there in the post show, because I don't want to waste time in the main show. Sorry. I know, Jasmine, I was going to give you your feature, your light. But no, you are going to get a feature for the unedited episode recordings. And I'll show it on the screen and everything so that you can see what I'm talking about. I do feel like at least the A's, the A subjects are for the underground study, and the B subjects may not be. This is all the military's just doing it, at the very least.
Wait, but if that's the case, why would Rick turn...
Be a B? That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she mentions that he's strong. So what does strong mean B? What is B?
Yeah, what's that? How is that relevant?
You're right. So how does that fit in, right, to what I'm saying? I don't know. I can't really say. All I do feel like is that I know where the top side is working on advanced decomposition, like how to eliminate the walker threat as a threat for good. I think the underground laboratory is harnessing the power of the decelerated decomp, which could result in increased longevity. Let me go to Alania's comments. She says, Lila's basically failed at everything concerning the cure. But again, I don't think it's the cure she's after. And Mario says, if that's the case, they're trying to make the CRM new umbrella from Resident Evil. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And he also says, didn't they call bees walkers with that machine on their back? Oh, right. The bee. Well, see, that was the confusion. That's the unit is called the BO4s, but they call the walkers the BO4s too. But I don't think those are bees, though. I just think that's what the unit's called.
Maybe B is for baseline in the study. So they have your A, which is your test subject, and then B, which is your baseline study for the longevity thing. In the underground study, A is for the test subject, and maybe B means like a baseline.
Meaning an alive subject that we can study. Oh, okay, well, maybe. Mm-hmm. God, I hope so. Be a very bad reveal on the Rick movie side of things. Because wouldn't that be funny? Most of the movie would be him in an underground lab, and then by the time everybody gets to him, he's just a walker, right? Great movie, everybody. Got to see.
Yeah, please don't. Do that.
Got to see Andrew Lincoln in action. Very ethereal. But let me go back to Sharondy's comments on why would the military do this? Why would the military work on longevity, though? And why keep it from the public? Because you asked a very important question. And I honestly think it's a matter of priorities. Because I think if the Civic Republic found out that they were using the walkers, or rather not eliminating the threat, because the whole purpose of them being installed 9 years ago, the founding compact of the Civic Republic is that the military would be in charge for the next 10 years. That's what we read in the newspaper. And at the 10th year, at the 9th year, they would start doing the transition of power to the actual people so that they can run everything. But why I mention this is if the citizens of the Republic found out that they were, instead of trying to study the elimination of the Walker threat, and instead harness the power of Walkers to maybe even create a greater threat, let's just say, or wasted time trying to figure out how to keep humans alive longer rather than trying to eliminate this threat. I think that, because you know how people are, people get angry about all sorts of things. So it doesn't surprise me that, like, when Kublek says the Civic Republic protects people from themselves, she says this in this episode, which opens a little bit more of, at first we thought it was, you got to do bad to do good, right? Last year we got a lot of that in the greater good. But her saying that is more than just that. I mean, we've seen what they do, but her saying that says we know what's best for people, even though it may go against what we commonly know as like freedoms and rights and liberties, because her language signals that we know what's best for people. We are the light of the world sort of shit. And even though they think they know better.
Just like Leo said, they even took away their choice, any of their choice, while making them feel like they have one.
And what is journalism too? Is if not, was supposed to represent the fourth estate, which means a check on government as a whole, on the whole. And so the illusion of a free press, or maybe a free press. This I feel like in some senses, not that I was wrong about press, I just don't think they're aware of the depths. Meaning, I think the populace at writ large supports the military and how they're safe, but I do think that they aren't completely aware of their comings and goings or the bad to do good stuff. They're kind of insulated from what we get to see when we watch this show. It's a fucking head trip, isn't it?
Wait, what if they destroyed Campus Colony in Omaha to make everybody feel like there was a threat to keep the CRM in power, the military?
You fell for my trap. I'm glad you're with me on the other side of this wall. Now I can tell you everything. Yes, that's exactly right. That's the second newspaper.
Gotta make them be safe. Make them feel
no. This
safe.
is worse. This is way worse. This is stuff that governments have been doing for a long time. You're 100% on the money. I'm not saying there are two newspapers. Huck is rating one newspaper that describes General Beale initiating the initial step down of power, or the transition to the civilian government, which shocked people. I will read what I have just for you guys. This is probably the only thing I think we will read, because then we have to talk about the newspaper. It's the same newspaper, I believe, that Dennis picks up. But when we see that headline, it reads something completely different than what we saw Huck pick up. I will go to that now. Let me just do this throwaway thing. Okay. On the left of the newspaper, the first one, it says the CRBC, which I'm calling it the Civic Republic Broadcast Center, or Broadcasting Center, or Broadcasting Communications. I thought that was kind of cool, as being refurbished or something like that. Or they're extending their range so they can communicate longer distances. Anyway, so this is the Civic Republic Tribune. The military looks ahead to civilian oversight by Nick Orghini, I think is what the journalist's name is. In an address to the citizens of the Republic this week, Major General Beale surprised many when he spoke not only of recent successes in fortifying the city and military forces, but the future transition of power toward the civilian government. A transition of power from military leadership to full civilian oversight is a bedrock provision of the Civic Republic's founding compact, the foundational document that has guided our city in rebuilding humanity for over 9 years. Authors of the document were in agreement that the military, this is a word I couldn't read, but it's kind of funny that I can't read it. It's either military autonomy or military autocracy, which that's a dirty word. It's like dictatorship. But anyway, authors of the document were in agreement that military autonomy, let's just say, or autocracy, was something for the early survival of the CR, as well as its stabilization in the years to follow. The provision states that 10 years into the CR's existence, a transition of power could take place, a move that would put the power back into the hands of the people. It continues where it says the compact's decade, and then it drops off, but then the next column continues. When asked if the 10-year timeline written into the CR's founding compact still seemed feasible by the Major General, Beale responded saying, There are many variables to consider, but I have full faith that when the time comes, we will execute the plan smoothly. Execute the plan? Is he talking about the same thing? The plan or the transition? Maybe they have a plan. Anyway, and then there's a blurb in between where he says, in between the statement that says, Major General Beale looking forward to long-awaited governmental transition. When pressed to reveal the specifics of the plan for the transition of power, Beale remained tight-lipped. It's something my Joint Chiefs of Staff, I imagine. And then it continues the next column, completely unrelated, and it says military. They're quoting him saying military. Okay, I love this part. A CR farmer, speaking anonymously, shared similar sentiments. Of course, he has to say anonymously, communism! God damn it! Anyway, so you have to watch that episode. The Tiger of the Lamb episode that we did last year. He says, you can't deny what the CR military has done for this city. Again, city, referencing the city. Farmer in the city. So wait, this proves what I said in that episode where I said they're exploring vertical farming. Jasmine's looking at me like a crazy person.
I just didn't know that you guys mentioned that in the past because I wasn't here when you watched season 1.
That is a landmark episode because I went crazy. I talked about technology, but I also talked about communism. Anyway, so he says, you can't deny what the CR military has done for the city. We owe our survival to them, he said. But things are under control more than ever before, and it feels like the right time for us citizens to take the reins. So Beale's acknowledgement of the transition of power in his address has proven to be a smart political move. His approval ratings are polling at an all-time high, with many people citing his leadership as integral to the continued survival of the CR. With strong approval, I think, and widespread appeal, blank, 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 rest comfortably knowing blank, 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 the last blank, blank, blank. That's where it kind of drops off.
Does that mean they have democracy?
Well, no. No, they do not.
Then
not
why did you
yet.
care about approval ratings?
Well, because if they're signaling the transition... Well, first of all, they're probably still polling people as either a relic of a time when that stuff mattered, or in prep for this transition of power, meaning because there's a possibility that Beale will take leadership regardless of military. And I think that's what they're angling, just to Sharon and my point. That's what they're angling towards.
I feel like they already have an existing government. It's just that the kind of like before Parliament. I'm going to show my ignorance of British history, but the king was who made the decisions, and so right now the CRM is the king. And the government is
Parliament.
Then we have
or the church, even right. Still, like the church was in charge.
So the CRM steps aside, or transition of power. They already have an existing government in place. That's what the approval ratings are for. Is what I'm saying. Like the approval ratings are for the government that's already existing.
Right. Yeah, that checks out from what we're seeing. I mean, there is a civilian government. There's a lower tier. I think we could say, like maybe district by district or county by county. They may have different civilian governments, governors, assemblymen. Maybe the whole thing is tiered up in a cameral or federalist system, meaning you have top level, state level, county level, city level, etc. So, and then at the top, instead of, let's say, the federal government, you have the military, which that model makes a lot of sense to me because of things. So what does all this signal? It's the first newspaper sounds very encouraging. And from what we're reading, I feel like what they are trying to do, what the military is trying to do, even from this one, is stay in power longer by way of General Beale, because people are like, hey, he's a trusted leader. We've trusted him for however long he's been in power, at least in the military level. He has popular resounding support. And with this early move of signaling a transition of power from military to civilian government, people will say, and that makes complete sense, hey, why not keep this guy on even in the civilian, even when the civilians start to vote on who remains in power, let's say the presidency, right? Because, he's used to the things, and then the next person that comes in, we can afford to screw up a little bit, damn Republicans, damn Democrats, right? From Fear the Walking Dead. But like the idea that like, okay, and it makes complete sense, which shows kind of like a wisdom of the people kind of thing, like a little bit, because think about the way we're living now and how it's always the last guy that completely screwed up something, and then you elect somebody that's almost completely opposite, right? It's like, oh, that guy did that thing, I'm gonna do this thing. And so we do this rinse, wash, repeat of of electing the opposite guy from last time. So there's a little bit of a weird wisdom of the crowds in that, okay, let's not upend the apple cart, as the expression goes. This guy seems okay. If he's willing to step down from power, let's just keep him in there, right? But I think that's according to plan. The second newspaper that Dennis picks up, but it's really the same newspaper for some reason, the title says, CRM requests emergency delay of civilian oversight. And on the side, it says candidates forum to be held in Millennium Park, which I thought was kind of interesting. So candidates for the transition of government, maybe, or maybe candidates in the local CR capital city, let's say, if we're talking about a republic of cities. After reading all of that, we get to this CRM is requesting immediately delay of transition of power. Or at least civilian oversight over the Civic Republic. Or these could be two mutually exclusive things. Beale is saying, I'm willing to step down to the people, but in the next article he's saying, the military is saying, we don't want civilian oversight. He is an adept politician. Maybe he's saying the right things, and then underneath it, the military is like, nah, B, no, you can't, there's no oversight just yet. We want to say this, but not give you this, the actual thing.
Could there be two different dates on the newspapers?
I couldn't tell. I did look. But these two could be mutually exclusive.
You said Millennium Park, right?
Yeah.
That's in Chicago.
Yeah. There may be more than one, though. That's the
only one that came up when I did a search.
It is very nice, though. I have to admit. I remember going there for the first time right after they built it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty good.
So could that be where the CR is
There's
located?
one in London as well.
That's what I was going to say next, is that there is more than one.
Yeah, but they're not in London right now, so that's the only one that came up.
Hey, maybe the Civic Republic reaches the UK.
You guys are. See, Brexit. It really ruined everything. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Brexit is entirely irrelevant.
Mario says it's in Kublek's backyard, Millennium Park. I can see a world in which these two articles from the same newspaper are mutually exclusive, which says a lot about the journalism. The military does not seem to have control, let's say, over the media, because they would not have let that second article fly.
Maybe they realize that they have to give them some leeway, or it'll end up costing them in the long run.
Which will go to what we ultimately find out is possibly the reason for Omaha and Campus Colony's destruction. But in the meantime, it seems to me that they feed the birds. The military feeds the birds when the chicks are hungry, right? Mm-hmm. So they give them a little sprinkles like, okay, Beale is planning in an address. He addressed the people much like Kublek did, in the sense where he's preparing for a transition of power. This happens. And then Kublek goes on the air. And then you get the the Civic Republic military requesting that we delay the transition of power. These three things happen because who knows when people are getting the newspaper too, or how often it's getting printed. But at least they got it in the edition. So I feel like one is going to follow the other because Beale says, hey, I'm open for transition of power. Kublek addresses the slaughter of Campus Colony in Omaha, whilst right after the CRM can claim, hey, maybe we should be delaying this because if this sort of thing could happen to our sister city, then we have to do better.
You need us to protect you more than you need your freedom,
liberty. I mean, it's delicious, but in its like frightening nature, because it occurs to you that, and I'm glad that Huck swoops in with the patient sheet in a way, because if it was just on the face of things, it would have led us to believe that what Mario had said to me in our Discord. Mario was like frightened that all of this was political. All of this was in order to stay in power. But with the patient sheet that Huck retrieves from Kublek's safe, I believe, even that's a smokescreen. There is something going on here where they are testing these 13,000 subjects, whatever, in Omaha Campus Colony. Longevity tests, or they're doing accelerated decomposition tests. I don't know what they're doing. But maybe that's where Lila's failure occurred. Maybe it's this whole thing. Maybe the thing that they were testing is Lila's fault. Like she assumed that something would work and it didn't work, and then it ended up killing everybody. Maybe even Lila's research was the cause of the downfall of Campus Colony in Omaha. I don't know. And I'm hoping that they reveal this a little bit more, and I think they will. Oh, okay. So Alani says, I'm wondering if the bees are like humans who locate the living for the living, and the A's are used to kill those who don't go along with the methods that they have in place for the community. Beats me. But it's out there in the ether now. Mario says, I've heard that they are following NATO's military rankings overall. Yeah, that seems to be that seems to check out. Major General and Staff Sergeant, and and we did some of that research last year. Some of the stuff that you were able to see in. Oh, I forgot what the episode's called. We always forget the episode with Mario says that the Major General is the highest rank in the officer of the military while at peace. Yeah, I noticed that too.
Truth or Dare.
That's it. Truth or Dare.
While the group searches for something in advance of their quest, one of them recalls their struggles in early days of the apocalypse. A game of Truth or Dare brings emotions to the surface.
Don't you remember the time? Don't you love the time where they used to have veiled episode descriptions and then say, "Hey, Huck has flashbacks," like in the more recent descriptions. Huck has flashbacks. She's still alive. Like, get golf claps. Have you read the recent? Oh, it's terrible. It's like, oh, here's the season in front of you. Have fun.
Like the fear ones. Each episode.
That's what I'm referring to.
Synopsis tells you exactly which character it is concerning.
Wouldn't you like to know? Oh, you do. Okay, fine.
That takes all the fun out of the title cards.
The title sequence.
Remember how much fun we had last season? Like, oh, who is it going to be? Who's going to be on the title card?
And now you're like, now I don't care.
Yeah. Look, it's ambiguous John or June on the title card for 702.
Who cares? We know what this is about.
We couldn't tell who it was in the hazmat suit.
Last year.
Everybody's in a hazmat suit. We can't tell who they are anyway.
What a joke. Anyway, so what do you think about all of this? What is going on here? Do you think, first of all, do you think I'm onto something?
Yeah,
or
definitely.
Me and Charity? Yeah. Jasmine? Say goodbye. No. What are your thoughts on this?
It's not something that I thought of while I was watching the episode.
Perfect. Thank you. No, I want to hear what you have to think. That's exactly. I don't want agreement. I want people to fight me.
Right. Say that you're like completely correct.
Okay.
Why are they putting a time pressure on Lila? Why is this her last try? If this is like an ongoing research thing, that's
a very good point.
That's
Maybe
the loophole.
That's kind of like why I was thinking. It is very possible that whatever it was that they were trying to research involves Omaha's destruction / campus colony. Because I'm not going to say it's a gamble, but I'm trying to find the right word here. In order to do, or what they felt they had to do to enact Lila's research, I'm not saying this is the case. I'm just saying this is my theory. Whatever they had to do with Omaha and campus colony, it's linked to Lila's research, and it's a big move. Whatever it was, they were pretty sure of the science, and it feels like that science didn't quite pan out, in my estimation.
What if instead of...
She fucked up big time, and now they have to take control and not do transition of power and hold back on relinquishing their control, and it fucks up their timetable. Like they put everything on Lila. And what's interesting is if that's true, and again, I'm not saying this is true. This is just my feeling. But if that's true, then you've got a lot of pressure on Lila right now. And what does that mean for Lila's faith in the Civic Republic military or Civic Republic?
I can see what you're saying, but I'm not sure on the longevity.
Neither am I.
I'm thinking maybe instead of studying for longevity, maybe they're trying to figure out a way to regenerate soldiers. Like you regenerate a walker,
sure.
Maybe they're figuring out how to regenerate soldiers. If they feel like maybe they need this super soldier or whatever to keep power. So that's why they're putting the pressure on Lila. Hurry up and figure this out so we can have the soldiers so we don't have to turn over power.
Oh, right.
That's the shout.
So wait, so instead of regeneration, because that requires regeneration. So it's not even decelerated decomp. It's literally like multiply. I don't know about multiplication of cells, but like the ability to regenerate. So it's going the other way. But to your point, Sharon D, what if you had a soldier that wouldn't stop? The limbs get blown off, they get stabbed in the heart, they just keep going, and they're alive. They're not walkers, they're alive. They can go through anything. They'll fight with their teeth if they have to. If all their limbs get blown off.
Like they don't feel pain.
They don't feel pain. They have all the attributes of walkers, but they're still alive up here.
But they're still alive. That would be something.
That would be horrific.
Even if that never happens, but that's what they're working towards. That would be fun.
And so this does sort of answer the question that Charity had earlier. What if the public found out that they were doing this?
Okay, now that I could see why the public
eliminating threat.
Yeah.
So I guess that's maybe what I was trying to say about longevity. But like, so even still, like, why even do that? What is the point of that? If not for people in power at the military or in the military picking winners or losers in the Republic of who gets this never dying treatment. Possibly never dying treatment.
I'm not sure about the never dying part.
Or instantly dying but keeping your faculties. Sort of treatment. I don't know. That's kind of why I went there, because the idea of picking winners or losers comes up a lot in the other series, like Victor in Fear the Walking Dead, Pope in The Walking Dead. The last season, he says God picks the winners or losers, and I am God, basically. So it's Victor too. So. Why not do it in this series, right?
Yeah,
Why
in
not?
theory, they would be controlling more than just, Texas, like, say Victor is. They would be controlling the world.
Yeah, it's all scale, right? Texas has its own little fiefdom. Texas is pretty big, but still a fiefdom of his own. Pope having his corner of the universe. And then so why wouldn't the Civic Republic say, nah, think globally, don't think locally? I think we have somewhat of a good consensus going from our diverse viewpoints. E pluribus unum. I think. What do you think, Mario? He's like, I'm tired. You guys it's late for me. Nah, not yet. Let's move off from this point to something that Anne Stokes says to Lila at the end, that Kublek has been removed indefinitely. Why is that insanely important after everything we've just watched in this episode?
It means Huck's ass is in danger. Because Elizabeth has been pretty much protecting her for the most part.
Because of what we said just earlier.
If she gets
why
removed,
Barca's in the shit.
If she gets removed, then there's nobody there protecting Huck.
Mm-hmm.
And Leo and Hope and everybody else there. Their safety is now gone with Kublek.
Yes. Okay. I'm glad you're saying this, because what I was about to say next is it's not as crazy. My theory is Jennifer rooting through Kublek's safe and finding the evidence that she needs. I think Kublek has the evidence to give the civilian government. I think Kublek is on the side of the angels, and we didn't know it. I think she's following orders. I think she feels remorse. And there's something that happens. I think she does some shady shit. I mean, talk about being deep undercover for so long. I think Huck and Kublek kind of mirror each other in a weird heartbreaking way. Them having lunch together, and Kublek relaying this old story of Huck being like a 4 or 5 year old and getting bolognese on herself and having to just go into the ocean, clean it off, and but letting Huck make the mistakes she needs to make and being fine and content and even joyful that she's there to clean her up. It's an allegory for what's going on now with Kublek and Huck. She knows that Huck is making mistakes. In fact, having Barca show up at the end is emblematic of like what the CR needs to do when somebody just steps out of line, even a little bit, has a thought that is different than towing the party line, which Dennis alludes to earlier. He's like, yeah, whatever, transition to government, but everybody's on the same page. Everybody's on board, thinking the right things. But the scene when they're having lunch utterly broke my heart, and I think it's going to come back to haunt us when we actually realize what just happened. I think Kublek's been, like Sharon and I have been saying, has been wiping up after Huck this whole time, allowing her to have this makeup mission, finding ways to keep her alive, alluding to also the fact that Huck makes a shit ton of mistakes, and somehow she's still alive, which is a lot of our people on all these shows. They make tremendous mistakes on TWD and Fear TWD, and yet somehow they kind of come through okay. It's luck. It is luck that they're still alive. I mean, which is emblematic of humanity on the whole. The great experiment of humanity is that the crazy amount of conditions to breed life for us to be here is insane, but we are here. So that's humanity on a grander scale.
Do you know what the worst part about that lunch scene is?
What is it?
Hook snaps the spaghetti.
That bothered me too.
I knew one of you would actually say that.
I'm glad it wasn't just me.
Yeah, I knew that would happen. But that isn't just to do it. Huck, I think, is signaling also with this metaphorical snapping of the spaghetti that I think also that she can handle herself. There's a lot of that going on too. That people being capable of taking care of themselves or not afraid to make mistakes.
Why would snapping spaghetti be
I felt like it was
the connection.
I think it's like a call and response. There's a call that says like the greater metaphorical meaning of her cleaning up after Huck as a child, and Huck saying, "Yeah, I can take care of myself." The response is like, "Whatever, I'll make mistakes. I'll break spaghetti in half."
She breaks her spaghetti.
Yeah, it's not that important. But it's also not that important. Okay, yes, you're breaking spaghetti, but is it going to taste any different? Not really. It's just shorter noodles, isn't it? Or maybe the greater point, because I actually did write this in my notes. Like Grace, it's okay to be broken. It's fine. Why is that so bad? So what's the big deal? Why does everything have to be perfect?
This is kind of unrelated, but I really want to know, what was Elizabeth's job before, like, the CRM?
Yeah, she said it.
She
in
was
the
an
first episode.
attaché for the British government in Albany, in the state of New
How do you
York.
guys know that?
First episode. First episode of the season, she actually mentions it.
Okay.
Ah!
When they were talking about Hook and the spaghetti stuff, my brain just went, I wonder what she did before the apocalypse.
Yeah, for the British military. Going back to the scene, though, that I was literally, I'm just letting you know that my pausing back there was me just about to get emotional. Because on the one hand, okay, because I want to expand a little bit more on why I think she's on the side of the angels. I think she has these documents to prove that, to give to the civilian government about the wrongdoings of the military. I think she is on the side of the angels. I think because it's a great subversion of expectations. It explains the turmoil that Elizabeth Kublek has during the Tiger of the Lamb, that stinger scene, crying over the same map with the 3 arrows on it in that episode. Do you remember that shit? In that scene, in the Tiger of the Lamb, the stinger scene, Elizabeth Kublek is poring over the map with the 3 arrows on it. And there's also other illusions that make us believe that she's looking at a map of the kids' trajectory, basically, because the freight company or the shipping company, I think, it has that as their logo as well. There's like a 3 arrows going in 3 directions, like straight, right, and left. And in the beginning of this episode, a walker stomps on a sign that has those very same, not the same arrows, but a road sign that has, which I thought was kind of cool because it's a very rare sign too, of going straight, left, and right, which also shows like what the meaning of this episode is. Quatervois is the French word. Directions. I happen to think the Kublek thing is the 4th direction. The 3rd direction, I think, is hope and saving humanity, and that getting along to get along kind of idea that she obviously lets go of at some point, saying that I don't have a choice. I can't fight against my sister. The root word of Quatervois is the four ways of seeing, basically. So 4 ways of going. So it's a crossroads. It's funny how it shows 3, but there really is probably a 4th, and the 4th is the one we don't see coming usually. And that could be the Kublek angle, meaning she's been working on this longer than anybody else, and how to take down the military. And what a thing to have out of the way. At the same time, like when you find out that she's removed from the board, it basically signals what she says during the lunchtime that, I've been covering up for you the longest time, but probably for my ends, but like now you're on your own, Huck. There's no safety net for you. It's heartbreaking for that to be their last conversation. I don't know if that means we're not going to see her again. I'm not sure. It'd be interesting if we do. Oh, boy. Oh, my God. Can you imagine? How would that make Lila feel after all this time, probably fearing Kublek? Because it seems like, or fear of disappointing Kublek at the very least. How would that feel to see? And then how does Lila react to that? Right? Whoop, doggy. Do you get the sense that Hope may... And I love that Leo gives her the option of speaking her mind in the family meeting roundtable. The last time we basically might see everybody together again all at once. Or most people, except for Silas and Elton, I think, and Will. And Huck, yeah. Well, when we might see Huck in the picture in just a few in the next episode. But did you feel like Hope was going to say something otherwise or felt differently than the group? If this is the only choice that has choices, maybe? Or the maximum amount of choices, even though it might not be? Even if it doesn't give me choice. Speaking of that, I saw another weird yin-yang parallel between Silas and Huck in that moment. Huck is kind of like seeing the truth and doesn't know if she's all in, as Dennis says, anymore. And then Silas comes from the truth, kind of like Hope, and sees that there are good people in the CR. So how do you reconcile that? It's not all that bad. Hope is hanging out with Mason and seeing, look, they're not all bad. In fact, like Silas does say this to Iris. He says, all the CR? And I thought the wording choice was very interesting. Him saying, is it okay to hate even Dennis? Is it okay to even hate Grady and Webb and Tyga? Does that mean I have to treat them like enemies? Because that's what Percy says. They're the enemy. The weird knight of the round table that is Percival on behalf of Iris. And why does he do it, right? He does it because all he wants is to keep her safe. Not for revenge. It's like, I would kill thousands of people to make sure you're safe.
Is he not just saying it to say it, though?
I don't think so. Why would a con man do that? Why would a con man rush into danger? If he could avoid it.
Because he wants to kill Hook. I feel like he's in the situation where he's like, I need to say whatever it takes so that I can go with them. Especially after he, blew her off last episode, and then all of a sudden he's, out of corner. Seems a bit convenient.
Well, okay, if you look at it that way, fine. You could look at it the other way and still be okay. Because if you're taking him at his word, let's say, you see a person who is conflicted about having almost killed his friends or almost put an entire community in danger, rather than, okay, and maybe you could say this is an allegory for him and his uncle. I trusted you people. I put my uncle in a situation where the result of which got him killed. Someone embedded in the group got him killed. So I don't want to feel like I had a hand in that and being responsible for you guys getting killed by my action. Do you know, does that make sense? Because the kids always feel sort of responsible for like their actions affecting other people, or like the adults whom are in control usually and have autonomy, which kind of does mirror Silas a little bit in his conversation with Dennis. Like, your friends can probably take care of themselves. Your uncle, Tony D'Amato, could probably take care of himself until he couldn't. Right. But then I'm sure in some ways he feels responsible for not seeing it or not seeing Huck's con. Do you know what I mean? And so I can see him being easily confused or put on his haunches. And I can also see him being honestly not in the mood, Iris, at the time in that last episode, like when she does come on to him. So I can read it both ways. I guess I'm not willing to fall on any of those sides until I see more, because to your point, I did find the way he was acting very weird. The way he was talking to other people about being Elton Ortiz. I felt it was his voice kind of like did the thing. The whole situation with Percy is weird, in my opinion. If the guy is a con man, and he's good, because we saw exactly what he was able to do to the kids in Mad Men Across the Water. We deconstructed it down to what he says, how he says it. We talked about mentalism and how that plays into this episode, what he's trying to do and say, and how and why he's doing it, and what the end goal is, right? So why in this episode is it acting? And if he is, he's doing a bad job. You'd think he'd be a little bit more convincing. And if it isn't acting, then it's pretty pathetic. And if it is pathetic, it's authentic. And so that's where I'm confused. He's landing on a spot in his and Teddy Sutherland is landing on a spot in his acting where I'm not sure if this is a con or if this is genuine, because we don't know what genuine Percy looks like in some senses. For the longest time, we've known the con. It makes it so that I'm not sure what to think his angle is.
I'm leaning on the he's lying because he's a con man and everything we've seen so far. But I could admit that I could be wrong. I do think he cares about Iris and that he's going to like make sure she's safe. He's not just going to go all guns blazing for Hook and get everyone killed. His motivations for going isn't to kill Iris.
To keep her safe.
Isn't to put.
If only, right?
Isn't to save Iris.
You're like, I wish he would.
Yeah, I wish. No, I think his motivations to going isn't to save Iris, it is to kill Hook, but he's not going to put Iris in danger in the process.
Let's take the idea of him being a con man to the extreme.
Okay.
So, is he willing to get at Huck to the point where he puts somebody in danger? I'm inclined to say no. Like, it seems like, because of the Elton thing, like, he hangs out with Elton and they get along pretty well, and I think we established pretty well that he's not willing to leave Elton behind in the face of these Ash and Dev attacking them or whatever.
That being said, I don't know if he's willing to, like, yes, there's certain people that he wouldn't want to put in danger. But that being said, I don't know if he cares as much about other people in danger.
Like whom? Like Felix?
Yeah, perhaps Felix or some of the other people in the group that he's, like, less bothered
or
about.
anybody around that family table that we saw just before Leo says.
Yeah, like I don't know if it put like Leo in danger or Felix in danger. I don't know if he would care as much. If it put Iris or Hope or Elton,
I would say probably only Elton if we're going on the extreme.
And if we think about it, everyone is willing to put Silas in danger because they have put him in the situation where he literally has got captured because of their actions.
Again. Well, sort of again.
He was safe. He was relatively happy, like, where he was.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of the exact opposite, right? Like, wait, Silas came from Omaha, and people hated him so much, he was forced to leave to Campus Colony, where his uncle was. Oh, no. Marco Voci. Okay. But yeah, where his uncle was in the maintenance facility or whatever it's called. And then even at Campus Colony, he felt kind of weird. People looked at him weirdly. Oh, is that the guy? You know?
Yeah.
And so
he's kind of finally got what he wanted, and they're all basically just destroyed it.
Yeah. Hope has kind of got what she wanted. You know, a feeling of belonging, a sense that her actions have purpose instead of before. So one of the things that we said in season 1 was, of our assessment of Hope was that Hope, because of her trauma, because we're describing two basic archetypes of depression. When you're depressed, you go one of two ways. You become grandiose, therefore hiding the depression, meaning you go beyond, you become extra, you do great things to hide your depression, or you become depressed, meaning you think nothing you do ever matters. And this is Hope in a nutshell in the beginning of the series. Nothing I do matters, so might as well fuck off. I might as well make alcohol, might as well piss everybody off. Even though, like, underneath it, she doesn't want to disappoint her father. She doesn't want him to go. Did I do too many bad things to make you go, is what she says right before he leaves. But Hope and Silas have the same problem. Silas, in the past, was hated by everybody, whether that's objectively true or not is irrelevant. From his point of view, he felt hated and whispered against, whatever. Hope felt like none of her actions mattered because she did a bad thing, and that's my life will amount to that moment when I was a kid. I don't deserve to have a life full of happiness and joy, so I might as well just have pleasure. I might as well, if I'm here, I might as well do something. Not something that has meaning, because nothing I do should have meaning because I did this thing. But now look at Hope. I'm in the exact position where I never thought I would be, where my actions could help people. I could save the lives of millions of people potentially, whereas I ended the life of one as a kid. And then I finally got to tell somebody so that I could relieve myself of that burden. And so they're both in the exact place that they could be to be happy for the rest of their lives. And yet, because of their family, Iris wanting their family, and Leo wanting their family to be together, Felix,
It's not even just them wanting to be together, because in theory they could be together in the CRM. This is why I hate Iris. It's Iris's thing, and she's just going to keep, pushing that limit. And being like, no, we gotta escape, we gotta go. Let's put everybody in danger just because I have some idea that's unconfirmed.
Right, and look at the irony. And even though we know the truth, which is crazy to me, but what is the irony of that? Iris subdued what she really wanted to do to help humanity. This vague goal of possibly saving humanity through her studies, the inch by inch, probably never really making a difference sort of thing. How much can you learn, and can this be applied to? And then even the CR saying to her in the past, or Kublek saying to her, "That's cute." Kublek knowing that Iris is trying to work hard to be like her father, but probably seeing all the report cards and saying, "Yeah, nah, you're not even worth coming to the CR or to the research facility to join the other students. That's how little you have to contribute."
Yeah.
Whether that's canon or not, I don't know. But, and then the irony of her going the other way, the exact opposite way of trying to take down these people, not be a part of the solution, not subduing herself any longer, and going against the grain. Well, Mario says there's no way that their plan works, right? No, definitely not. No. First of all, whenever you ask that question, the answer is always going to be no, Mario, just so you know. No way anybody's plans ultimately work. They don't. They never work. But Eladia says, Silas dies, I riot. I agree.
He's not gonna die. At least not next episode.
I have a feeling that he might, though.
No, he's not gonna die, because of him getting captured. He's not gonna die immediately.
Oh, no.
They're not gonna shoot him on sight.
You're right. Mario's like, Silas is great. He's good for sure. You know what troubles me? Where is Kublek's right-hand man? And is he with her in CR or facility? Well, okay. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't really care about her right-hand man, though, to be honest, though. I care about Kublek. Is his name Frank? Is it Frank Mills? Is that who you're referring to? Mills, the guy? Well, her right-hand man is in Portland. Do you remember? She sent him off to do Portlandy things because they were asking too many questions.
Speaking of Portland, is their whole plan is to walk to Portland? Is that the most stupid thing ever? Even if it's in Oregon or if it's in Texas, regardless, that's a long fucking way to walk.
Yeah, but, hey, listen, okay, there's a lot of things that go against your notion. I can't believe say this. Morgan walked to Texas, okay?
Right. No.
So you could go to hell.
Well, are they gonna go through the nuclear bomb?
No, if you're going to Oregon, which is what I think they're assuming it is. By the way, that
they're gonna go to the wrong Portland.
Right.
They're just gonna get there and be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Right. So they're gonna go to Portland, Oregon, only to discover that it's Portland, Texas. Right? Maybe. But again, this is assuming Sharondy, because this is Sharondy's theory. I'm not saying this is mine. I'm not taking this on. Sharondy's saying, and I have to remind the crowd, Sharon D is saying the Portland they may be referring to is Texas, and everybody's going along with the assumption that it's Oregon for the sake of probably privacy or whatnot. But there's got to be CR facilities in that Portland, Texas, where that we broke down the map just recently, actually. So we're talking about the distance between New York State and Portland, Oregon. Regardless of Sharon D's theory, that's probably where they would want to go to if they're assuming Portland is in Oregon, which I think it sounds like it's the assumption that they have.
Well, Lila says it in in a stinger because I rewatched season 1 and she says Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, but Lila could be wrong too, for all we know.
I mean, hey, there are 2 Portlands. Maybe they're using the other Portland too. Who knows?
3 Portlands. We could all be wrong. It could be Portland, Maine, for all we know. Mm-hmm. But I will say it would be cool if it wasn't, at least regardless of it not being Portland, Texas. It would be cool if it wasn't Portland, Oregon, or Portland, Maine, or whatever, or any Portland we'd expect, because it'd be clever of Portland. Like, mad props to Portland for not revealing where they came from, or not
like
having
Springfield.
Yeah, or like not revealing where they came from, being like, I'm part of the Alliance of the Three, but I'm not going to tell you where the fuck we are. I'll just show up at your gates with our guy, Samuel Abbott, and he'll be a part of the thing. And then they send Mills to Portland, Oregon to shut them up about communicate. And they'll be like, hey guys, there's nobody here. There's nobody here. Where do I go? We don't know. They didn't tell us it wasn't Oregon. So anyway, that would be funny for us because we just said all the stuff. and then everybody else in the community figures out what we already know.
All of my theories so far have been disproved, so.
Well, hey, listen, I'm not counting you out just yet. So.
I just want let my fear theories be right. Maybe I'll be happy with that.
Throw Sharon D a bone, for goodness sake. Well, Padre is you're already on a good track.
Holding on to Padre.
Yeah. Come on, Padre. Come on. Come through for us.
All right, I just want to say my favorite scene of the whole episode is when Percy and Elton are talking by the fire, and he's like, so, you and Iris, that's cool. And Percy's like, so, you and Asha, what's up with that? The way he said it was so funny. Like, you really want to go there? Because I can get back with that, too.
Yeah, exactly. But, okay, so this is going to go to your points, both your points about Percy. Because why the clapback? What's the big deal, right? Why is Percy's response whataboutism, right? Oh, really? Yeah, what about you and Asha? Go fuck yourself. Like, whoa, guy, hello? I thought we were friends. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't he just talk like a human about his feelings for Iris in some ways? Just like Elton did just now. Which, to your point, weird.
I feel like that's what all teenagers do.
Okay, I forgot how to be a teenager. So, but you're closer.
Right.
If I approached a group of my friends and was like, oh yeah, so what about you and this person? They would do something like that back to me. And vice versa.
Then you'll find out they weren't really your friends to begin with. You know, this is when you get to be 40, like us, and beyond. It's an old people's joke, okay? Wait till your friends have kids. It's awful. Ugh, gross. She does. You know, it's funny. She's looking at us like, "What the fuck is he talking about?" And like Sharon and I both know.
You really think my generation are gonna have kids?
Yeah. Every generation says that, and every generation has kids. Mm-hmm. It's so true. It's almost funny about like my generation saying the same thing, and yet I'm like the only one. I was the one who. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay. You too, right?
I am the only one of my high school friends that doesn't have like 2 or 3 kids. Yeah.
Right. It's crazy to think, and yet I was the one who was like, I can't wait to be a father. I can't wait to be a dad, and everybody always still says, you know, oh, you'd make a great dad. I'm like, yeah, I know, but no thanks.
Yeah. My brother is 11 years younger than me, and my mother was a single mom, so my job was to watch my brother all the time, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I don't want to deal with this. So yeah, thanks, Mom.
He gave me the gift of not wanting to have them.
Yeah, like no thanks. I'm good. Dealing with him was enough. I'm all right.
I feel like we should say to Jasmine, just live your truth. Just don't listen. Don't listen to us. Don't listen to us. You'll figure it out. Listen, I'm Leo Bennett. I wanted to give you options. So the freedom to choose whatever path you're going to take. Don't be jaded like us. or weirdos.
I will also say that working in the restaurant industry for 20 years did not endear me to children at all.
Being loud at tables and stuff.
Oh, just being little shitheads, mostly.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right before I left for uni, I got the honour of cleaning up baby sick twice within the same week.
Yeah. But you know what? It's funny. As a parent, you get used to it, or you're like, that's my kid, so here we are. You know?
I was really hungover the first time. It was not good.
That's going to stick with you. I can't look at pureed carrots ever again. Huck's in the waiting room, I guess, or at the CR facility. Dennis pops in with the mug of coffee.
It heavily reminded me of, like in the Commonwealth when
Mercer?
Yumiko gets the coffee, and then I instantly remembered that whole speech you went on in the podcast about it.
Coffee is an important thing, but to my point,
and then they're growing coffee and everything.
Yeah, but to my point, it's crazy significant because he even says that, or Huck is even saying that, oh, it's nice to see that they're actually growing real coffee. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, maybe to both our points, okay? Because it sounds like up until then, maybe they were having fake coffee or freeze-dried coffee or whatever. But it's nice to know that they have real coffee, meaning they're cultivating environments with which they can have coffee beans and all that stuff.
Does that mean that some of the Civic Republic, not necessarily the Civic Republic, but they have somewhere on the equator? Because that's where you grow coffee.
That's what I'm saying. They must have colonized a frickin' Caribbean island or something, because you can't grow
it'd have to be
coffee wherever
Peru,
they are,
Colombia,
even rooftop. Yeah, even rooftop coffee. Or did they go and clean out Hawaii?
Or I was even going to say,
coffee in Hawaii?
Yeah, they use the volcanic soil because it's filled with nutrients.
Imagine how cool it would be though if they did just clear out Hawaii and used it to grow coffee.
Just the whole 7 islands, just coffee.
No,
just
one of the islands. They don't need all of them.
No, all of them. So all of them. Coffee. Here's Kauai coffee. Here's Kona coffee. Here's Oahu coffee. That one's gross. It tastes like sad vacations from Americans in the 60s. Sorry. I watched the Brady Bunch as a kid, reruns, obviously, because I wasn't born when they were airing live. There's a whole... Sorry, Jasmine. What was it? You know what I'm talking about, right?
I was alive when they were airing. Shut up.
I know. What? I'm still watching it.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's sad because Jasmine doesn't know the
evil tiki statue.
Yes,
yeah, the
exactly.
evil tiki statue.
The squawking bunch.
Sturgeon.
Marsha. Okay, Jasmine is so confused right now. I'm so sorry. But you've heard of the name of the show, right? The Brady Bunch? No, maybe she hasn't. Do you know that Jasmine was born after 9/11?
I was talking to someone the other day, and they were telling me about when they retired, and I was like, they were like, "Oh, I retired in this year," and I was like, "Oh, that's the year I was born," and they were just like,
and then instantly felt like, you make me feel so much older than I know I am.
Aiden was born on 9/11.
Yee. Yeah. Wow. Happy birthday! Terrorists took over that day. I have another friend who was born on that.
That's a stretch.
Well, not ultimately, but that day. There was one thing that I wanted to talk about as far as Silas goes, and that was what happens behind the camera in his thought process, because I clearly think he has a problem with betraying his newfound family, Dennis and the kids, Grady and Tiga, at first, until Iris kind of convinces him. And I think the way in which she convinces him is interesting.
Manipulation.
But yes. I'll go through that next, but when he asks Dennis for the keys, this is the first time my heart started breaking. He invokes his uncle's memory, which either is for us, signaling that he's on board fully or mostly, because he remembers his uncle and he remembers, that was the one person that didn't call me an asshole, didn't think I was a serial killer, the one person that was on my side during campus calling in Omaha. And he was the one that taught me to drive. And that made my heart go, but it also signaled to me that, okay, this is not a throwaway line. This is him saying, for Marco, for my uncle. This is what I'm doing that for. I'm not doing this for Iris or for anybody else. I'm doing this for him, because he personified the tragedy. It's not like I wasn't there and that's what happened. For all he cares, he does not care. I mean, I'm sure he cares on the surface that, Omaha and Campus Colony went away. Like, okay, people died. That's not what I wanted, but they didn't. It's not like they treated me well, but my uncle did. You know, after everything, my uncle did. He was the one person who believed in me, and I think that was A, emotional, but B, not a nothing statement. And it's like, in spite of how I feel about you, Dennis, I got to do this thing.
I thought that Dennis did not believe him.
Oh, and that's why he's in trouble now.
Yeah, because the way Dennis paused before he gave him the keys, it was like he paused and kind of gave him a look, and he was like,
Like,
okay,
you know how
here's
to
the
drive,
keys.
or
And then he hesitated before he gave a little hesitation before he gave him the key card, and I just had the feeling that Dennis didn't believe him. Or maybe since he knows that Silas is there because of Huck, maybe he's like, let me see what this kid is up to, because it may be a way that I can get back in touch with Huck. Because apparently they've got some issues going on. So maybe if I can figure out what this kid is doing, I can, get back to where Huck will trust me again, or I can make up for whatever it was I did.
Or that to go back to where a time when everything wasn't different, as Huck says earlier in the episode. I'm still not sold, because I did the editing for the last episode. You guys were strongly suggesting that Dennis knows that Huck sent Silas to the facility. I'm still in the camp that it's agnostic.
Mostly, well, I don't know that he knows it because Huck told him or anything, but I think when Silas mentioned Huck, that maybe he picked up on it. Oh, this kid knows Huck, that's why he's here.
I could agree to that, not in the moment where he's saying, this bitch sounds like a battle axe, whatever, but maybe after thinking about it, much in the way after thinking about Iris's proposition. Okay, I'm not doing it for Iris, I'm doing it for my uncle. Like, there was time where he figured it out, that maybe that's what he was doing. But hold on. If he does know that Huck or Jennifer sends Silas to the facility, even after telling her that I got a newbie, and she just says, oh, that's cool. How do you think Dennis feels about all the secrecy? Because it was one thing if she had secrecy while she was away and undercover. But now that she's home and still being secretive, isn't that a further betrayal or like a further... Right? Do you see what I'm saying?
He's obviously was military too. I mean, I'm sure he understands that she can't talk about the shit she did on a mission.
So I'm just strictly talking about Silas being assigned to the facility and her not saying anything about it. Not the mission, but like...
Okay, well, mate...
Like, I got a newbie...
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, that is a cause of consternation, right? For Dennis, at least.
She doesn't know... Well, I mean, I see what you're saying. I
think she knows exactly.
She's lying.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, but she doesn't know that Silas mentioned her to Dennis.
No.
She doesn't know. So she, as far as she's concerned, he hasn't connected it yet.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. But Dennis may have, and then also knows that she is... Because when he says that we picked up a newbie at the facility, she knows exactly that it's Silas. But she says, that's cool. Thumbs up.
Like, well, I mean, maybe he's, again, because it was part of her mission, she can't say anything about, I made him go there or whatever.
And it's less of a military thing than a Civic Republic military thing because of what we find out with Jennifer and then Barca, the differences between the two and what somebody gets and what somebody doesn't get when they start having wrong think. Sorry, not to bring up 1982, but still. No, I take your point. Now I'm just interested, if Dennis happens to be the one that reported Silas, then what does that mean? I just don't think he cares whether or not it's a Civic Republic military thing at this point. I think he, like you said, I think he wants things to go back the way they were. Whether that means he continues not knowing or pretending like he doesn't know but still reporting Silas, there's still going to be that tension between him and Huck or Jennifer. That's something cool that we can see down the road. And then I still don't know where he lies, in terms of his belief system. Maybe he was also sent to reprocessing too at some point, and then he became like one of those weird true believers.
Well, I mean, his demotion or punishment or whatever is going on is probably enough to make him
humble,
question his loyalty at least.
Oh,
if they'll do this, we don't know what he did, but I'm assuming it was something he thought was the right thing to do. Like, if I did this and this is how they treat me, then why should I care about what happens to them? When the civilian takeover, maybe hoping things will change with a civilian takeover. I don't know.
Oh. Yeah, so maybe he's rooting for the civilian takeover to kind of balance things out. But in the same breath, he also says the same thing. He says, I guess it doesn't really matter if the civilian government takes over because we all think the right thing, right? Because maybe that's the reprocessing center at work with him. So I think he's caught between maybe believing what he believes, but also believing, oh, I've been reprocessed to thinking that this is the way anyway, which is interesting to play with, because then you have somebody who has been altered, or at least coerced enough to feel that this is the way and this is the only way, but I still have feelings, or I still have remnants or something. I don't know. I like it. Whatever it is, I like it. I'm into it. I want to see what happens. Do you have anything to add, Jasmine? I'm acing. Because just so everybody else knows, it's past midnight. It's 12:45, right? Jasmine has the day off tomorrow. She's falling asleep right now, and she's gone. Just for the audio podcast. Just kidding. She's dead. We killed her. I'm sorry. Sorry, audio podcast.
Say goodbye, Jasmine.
Death by exhaustion.
Death by squawking.
That's not what I said.
That's what I said. What I say matters.
Exhaustion.
Exquaction. Okay, I do want to drop one thing. Speaking of, I do want to drop one thing that I saw in the map that they have for their plan of attack, showing the detritus facility door for Silas. In the left side of the map, because now I get to bring it up in the episode, you can tell that it was Will that at least helped draw the map, because it has a little section that says, pen for researching dum-dums. That's what it says on the map. So I thought that was cute. I laughed out loud while taking these notes, and I have the screenshots, so now I could put that in the blog. But music does play a role in this episode, oddly enough. When they get to the culling facility, Metal Sport by Hitman is playing during the culling and maintenance facility as they approach, and it really has a lot to do with bloodshed. And basically the games that we've played with one another from time immemorial, but now it's for sport and not for survival or necessity or attacking another human being to get their stuff. It kind of elucidates what we're talking about the underground lab versus the above ground lab, what they're trying to fight for. So I thought that's kind of cool. Or just the basic thing of being tribal and fighting two sides. Then we get to the next song, Angel of Wilderness by Craig Marsden. And this is as the gang relays the fate of Campus Colony in Omaha to Silas. And saying Hope and Leo are okay, but I'm okay and they've treated me okay, so maybe Hope and Leo are right as well. So one of the key things I picked out here was she walks through the wilderness and she sings the trees. So it's almost like Hope, and I'll tell you why. She can't find no bitterness when her song is so free. But the city took her captive, and she's wondering how can she be. It's kind of cool. She was free. Leo had her free. She lived a life of freedom, and then the city captured her. The earliest version of the song doesn't have this one verse. Later on, there is a verse in the song that's added. I found this out in my research. It shows up in the beginning of the song, but it's really probably for the end of the song. When silver white birches reflect on the stream, her harmony merges to complete every dream, but she chooses to sing in the city. Where serenity's so hard to find, and her great sacrifices out of balance the crises when her song soothes the unhappy mind. So like she's choosing to live in the city even though she was captured. I like that.
I love when lyrics mean something
specific, right?
Yeah,
Of course, it's never going to map on 100%, but when it does, for the most part, it's pretty cool. There is a little bit of a parallel with Leo and Silas as they're both heading to so Silas heading to the facility, right? The detritus door, and then it goes back and forth between he and Leo. Leo on his way to tell Lila, bumping into Terry, and they're both kind of bumping into things that they thought were anchors in the Civic Republic, in their time there. So at the gate, Silas is sort of saying bye to Grady, and Leo bumps into Terry, T. Brooks Ellis, Terry Brooks Ellis.
T. Brooks.
Wait, you like that? So I'm sorry, Terry, I didn't see you there.
When he said Terry, I was like, oh, Dave's gonna love that. They said his name.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. But then you're not even seeing him; he's so consumed. And I feel where Leo is at this point, because I think he's wondering also, is this the right course of action? Kind of like Hope, is what I'm doing right? But all I know is that I need to talk to Lila. I need to talk to my girlfriend, not the Civic Republic devotee. Thank God Huck came in when she did. But I
Why did he go tell Lila?
Yeah.
No.
I like the parallel between he and Silas though, because they're both doing things they're not entirely comfortable doing. The element of fear with Silas as the Civic Republic truck moves past him, so there's that. And there's soldiers that Leo's passing by in the hallways. And
one of the little moments that I loved was when they first saw Silas at the fence, and they were walking up to him, and there's the walker coming, and you can see them all tense up like they're going to run up there and save Silas, and he just jacks it, and rips his head off, and all of them just look like, what? They were so surprised that he did it. Yeah. I love those weapons, too. The weapons they use in the kill thing. It just explodes their heads off.
The soil tilling,
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
soil aerating weapons.
Yeah.
Who
And
knew?
It just destroys their heads. I love it.
So that's what we're going
I
to do
just
to
love
the
their
CRM
reaction. It was so
soldiers.
funny.
Right, the CRM soldiers stand no chance against it. Mario wants us to go to Jada's predictions, basically, and Stokes' predictions. First of all, why the name Stokes? Because we get that in the preview. We don't get that in the episode. Why does she take on Gabriel's last name? What do you think is going on here?
It's a way to remember her friends and her family back in Alexandria. And judging
Yeah.
by where she is in the hierarchy, it seems like she's really bought into the CRM.
But then why keep the name Stokes?
I mean, do you think she really loved Gabe? Maybe it's just a way to remember Gabriel. She's always got him close to her, even if it's just a name.
I think that's kind of cool. Also, but a little twisted, but also kind of cool. But then again, this world is twisted, so still cool.
No, it would have
what
been
do you-
really twisted if she took the last name Grimes.
I'm just thinking about it right now. Because then that would give us a bigger nugget, wouldn't it? We're like, whoa, what happened?
Maybe we're going to see coming up that she is gung-ho in the CRM and whatnot, and maybe she just feels like she needs that one little connection to keep her tethered to what
she's
she
fighting
used to be.
for? But for a purpose, or for just like a oh, that's what I was, not who I am now.
Maybe she's in cahoots with Elizabeth, or in the same mindset as Elizabeth, and she's working from the inside.
Wow. I you know what? Wow. Yeah, I don't know what to think, to be honest with you. Because I feel like her replacing Elizabeth is a signal that something is awfully wrong with Elizabeth. And I could be wrong. I'm operating off this set of assumptions that says Elizabeth is on the side of the angels. I mean, unless your thing is, oh, no. Jadis is here to be on the side of the angels. Elizabeth was replaced by her to subvert her evil ways, maybe. I don't know.
Well, maybe. I mean, I theorized back in season 1 that Elizabeth was a fifth column, and maybe Jadis is too. Maybe they've kind of been working together.
So Jadis is saving
with the
her.
same mindset. It could be. Maybe she's
Okay.
getting, much as Elizabeth was getting Huck out of trouble by sending her off to Omaha, maybe Jadis is getting Elizabeth out of trouble by sending her off wherever the heck she's sent.
That is cool. I like that because you used the right analogy. So make me understand it. So basically cleaning up Kublek's bolognese mess, basically. Mario saying, I have a feeling she took his last name to remember him. Alani says, would have been totally weird if she chose Dixon for the last. Yes, it would be completely out of left field. And Mario says, warrant officers are like, oh, he did the squawking dead thing. Warrant officers are like all above enlisted soldiers and below all officers. So I'm quite troubled is how will she manage to take control of the whole thing? If that's what she's trying to do. Well, that's not unusual because Corporal is below Staff Sergeant, and yet Kublek had placed her trust in Corporal Pierce, perhaps over her own daughter. Because I do think she knows that Huck is uncovering Kublek's secrets behind her back. And there's a lot of body language that's going on that shows that that's the case. As she's being called to question, and then eventually they go to lunch anyway. But if that's the case and there is a reflection going on, then maybe Warrant Officer Stokes or is like Corporate Pierce, there's a little mirroring there. This is too early to tell. We're just flying by the seat of our pants here, but yeah, it would be kind of cool if it was like that, though.
The reunion between Silas and the other kids.
Oh, since we're on there, yeah.
What did you guys think?
We can go on the Iris hate right here. Yeah. Because Percy's like, wait a second. Wait a second. Let the other kids get away. Yeah. And Iris is like, oh, I don't have time for that. And just shoves her away. I'm like, Iris, what are you doing? Wait 5 seconds for these other people to walk away.
Yeah.
And then she's telling Silas about it, and she's like, well, I don't have any proof, but I just know. I just know that this is right.
Exactly.
Oh, shut up, Iris. Okay.
I wish
I did that for Rachel. I was channeling Rachel in that moment.
I felt it. She should be very proud. I'm sure, tears in her eyes proud.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I wrote down about Iris. Just like, why? Why are you so arrogant? And why are you putting other people in danger to prove nothing?
Here's the other thing. She's fucking manipulating Silas. Like, she knows Silas has feelings for her and likes her. And she is using those fucking feelings, even though she knows she's got the hots for Percy, over here macking on Percy, but at the same time, using those feelings to manipulate fucking Silas into doing the shit that he obviously does not really want to do.
Right.
Fuck her and fuck her drawing for manipulating Silas into doing this shit.
the only person that actually came up to Silas and like gave him a hug and was like genuinely happy to see him was Elton.
Well, Percy gave him a "Hey, big guy" with a slap on the.
And
the
Percy
butt.
was like, "Good to see you, big guy."
Yeah, I didn't really think that was.
Thank you for not really killing my uncle. Thank you for not turning out to be my uncle's murderer.
Also, another thing, no one apologized for like basically exiling him from the group. No one. Was
No,
like,
Iris apologized, didn't she?
Yeah, kind of.
She tears in her eyes apologizing too.
She's manipulating him.
Is Iris's drawing manipulative or genuine? Because she does say, no matter what happens, if it doesn't turn out that we can get to the door, go away. Take care of yourself. So she drew that ahead of time, not knowing, A, whether he'd be at the facility or not knowing whether she'd find him or not. But it also tells you, regardless of the intentions, it also tells you where Iris is at mentally, what she ultimately wants. She ultimately wants all of them together again as a family, which is why I said what I said when they were at the family table having a meeting before Leo goes, yeah, I'm going to tell Lila now, bye. I think Hope recognizes Iris's desire as well, even though she doesn't see the photo. In her saying, well, I don't see that we have any other choice. That's a signal also to Leo. Like, that's not what I want either. I think Leo is kind of acknowledging Hope's hesitation. And then when Huck finally comes up to Leo, it gives him a way out, a third column, let's say. Saying, well, okay, I either leave with Iris, I stay and Hope is safe in a prison. Here's the third option. And I think Leo's going to take this option because it's a way of getting back without having to leave the idea of abandoning the hopes of saving the future. Do you know what I mean? It's that third option where, let's get rid of the problem. Let's uncover the truth and get rid of the problem and still save humanity. And then I can maybe live in a world where I give my girls an option or freedom of choice, which is like, again, we came into this episode talking about the series of circumstances that allow humanity to thrive or survive or come into existence. And here we are again, the random happenstance of Leo having this third option coming from nowhere to save his soul, basically. But going back to the actual drawing, though, first of all, cute. It was cute. I took a screenshot. It's going to be in the blog. But it goes to the question, do you feel like Iris is genuine? Do you think that her mission is altruistic?
She could have drawn that picture for anybody.
No, say it right. The fucking picture. Because I felt like saying it.
She could have drawn that fucking picture for anybody and been like, I can see that Silas isn't really feeling this, so let me whip this out and be like, look, I drew this for you. How did you know you were going to find him? No. She just had that drawn, and she's like, let me.
Well, that's actually my point. Like, I think she drew it for him, not knowing she would see him, but hearing that he was alive. So I think there is some sort of genuine feeling there.
Well, I mean, I think she genuinely has feelings for Silas.
Okay.
Like, I don't disagree with that. I mean, she does have emotions and feel things for people. She just lets her...
At least in this season, she lets her goals eclipse that.
Right. She lets her goals overshadow her feelings for everybody, except maybe Hope.
Well, and even in this episode, my sister, she says to, like, the gang in the culling and maintenance facility, she says, my sister won't, like, not abandon me or something like that. Like, yeah, my dad will definitely go with me, and Hope, my sister won't go against me. This is as they're trying to convince Silas to go along with the plan, which it didn't seem that way in the last episode. It felt like she felt betrayed in the last episode by Hope. But to your point, that they were just saying this in order to convince Silas. But then that's everybody, though. Everybody's in on what Iris is dishing.
The mission is more important than your feelings.
And yet, they're trying to appeal to Silas's feelings. But here's the thing. Now, with as much as one can hate Iris, they must also hate Felix, Will, Percy, everybody involved in this, but Elton even to a certain extent, because they are along for the ride, most of them enthusiastically. You can tell throughout this episode, though, there are some that are looking askant at this plan, two of whom, one more prominently, is Will. Even though he was the very person who was attacked, Will is looking at Felix like, what is up with you, bro? Like, as he's walking, can I get the name of the soldier? Balls, testosterone, what? Let me get that right? Does he have a name? Yeah, I'll get him for you, baby. Like, what? then he grabs Will's balls and go, how do you like that, baby? Okay, all right. I thought it was kind of cute, But then Will looks at him in a way that makes me want to mock it, because Will kind of, as he's walking away, Will's kind of like, this guy's, he taught the kids in the classroom, be smart and safe. And yet he's not being smart and safe, or he's acting not smart and safe. 2 times in this episode, I noted moments where Will is just kind of like, I don't think he's being smart or safe.
Which 2 times? Because I count 3 times.
It was right at that moment where, with the name of the soldier and blah, 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 Will looks at Felix warily, says it's their turn to lose, and I'm going to make damn sure they do. At the perimeter, just about when they were to leave. You feel what I'm feeling, though, right? Like, you see Will look at Felix kind of like, I'm the one who was attacked. I could handle myself. Let's just do this smart, which is kind of like all our criticisms against this. Why aren't we doing this smart and safe like you say, the little bubble in Campus Colony? Elton says something very cool to Asha before they have their little moment where you thought they were going to kiss, but you can see why Elton, whatever. But Elton says something about people making decisions. We all make our decisions, even if we decide to do nothing. That's a decision. And I liked this conversation because it puts me exactly where I thought Elton would be. In the middle, Socratically. The more you know, the less you really do know. The more I know nothing. That's Elton in a nutshell right now. He came into the series being this verbose, studied person, finding out later on that Hope and Iris are super geniuses. So what does that make Elton? I feel like I don't know anything. You know, he goes out into the world. He doesn't know what haul ass is. He's figuring out that he doesn't know a lot of things. I like it because in this episode, he's like, I'm figuring out that that's the way the world is for me. And I'm okay being a dummy. And there's a certain sense of satisfaction that he gets from it. It's like, I went into the world thinking one thing, and the world taught me a whole other thing. And I'm trying to find my way through it. And I like this conversation, accepting people's desires to do what they want to do and not get in their way. I kind of like their little conversation. Did you guys get anything out of that too? Besides, I'm into you, Asha. And she's into him back. I think it's safe to say. So Mario says, I don't like the fact that they are on personal revenge against the force that they can't handle. Yeah. Silas is too good for Iris anyway.
Of course, that touches on a theme that we talk about in season 4 of Fear. How all it took was for one person to step up and story about Twisted Round. Al's story about Twisted Round. All it took is for one person to step forward and tell the truth out loud, and the whole thing came crumbling down. So maybe, I hope this doesn't happen, but maybe Iris coming forward and saying, look at what they're doing, is going to make the whole fucking thing come tumbling down, which, please no. But
I don't think that's going to be the case, because Iris seems to be on the trajectory of traditional warfare. Like, we're going to, like, literally hit them with a stick and hope they go crying mommy. No, but doesn't it feel like that's what she's after in some senses? But then what's really going to happen? Okay. Let's make both things work. Can't believe this. I can't believe I can't believe I'm indulging this. Okay. Ready? It's like Ghostbusters 2 when the guys inside are doing all the work to take down Vigo, and then Louis Tully comes and everybody's cheering him on. So Louis Tully runs to the gates. The whole museum is in a shell of goo, and he comes up and he's firing up his proton pack. Meanwhile, the guys inside are doing all the work. Here's my analogy, okay? And then Louis fires his proton pack at the thing, and all of a sudden the whole thing cracks wide open. So here's my analogy. Huck is doing all the work on the inside, has the intel that she needs to crack open the key. Iris comes in with her force of 3 or 4 people, hits the Civic Republic from the outside, and it all comes tumbling down. It's like, I did it, guys. I did it. I took down the Civic Republic military. Oh, yeah, I did it all by myself. Meanwhile, glory to God. And then she gets all the glory, too. That would be a kicker. And the Ricks movies will cite her as the savior of humanity. Iris Bennett, savior of humanity. Like Louis Tully, savior of New York City.
If that happens, can we cancel World Beyond?
No. Right. No, we have to venerate it now because we predicted it. Thank you for...
If you endorse this theory, I will cancel Squawking Dead.
It's everything I've ever dreamed of. Oh, thank you.
No.
And hey, if you like what you heard, head over to ratethispodcast.com/Squawking Dead. 5 stars and eggplant get you to cancel Squawking Dead. Listen, tell us what you liked, tell us what you don't like, but tell us after every episode. Yeah, well, if you don't like Iris, tell us you don't like Iris. 5 stars and I don't like Iris. Or 1 star and cancel Squawking Dead. Either way, tell everybody, tell the world after every episode. It really, really makes a difference. Sharing these podcasts makes a difference. Whether it's on audio or video, on YouTube, mainly. Get people to subscribe to our podcast on YouTube, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever podcasts are listened to. Do that. It really helps. It doesn't cost a thing too. And it gets us to be free to do this on the regular for everybody to enjoy and not make us want to quit or be canceled. Or although getting canceled, that would be glorious. But if you really like what we're doing and you want to maybe join the conversation like Alania and Mario did in the chat, or be a part of our Discord by joining a membership tier. Forget all the joining the membership tiers. Forget buying us a coffee. Just follow us at ko-fi.com/squawkingdead. When you want to join in on something cool, you can hop on in, you can tip us, buy us a coffee, and get 30 days of supporter back content. Or you can join a membership tier for as little as $1. And even that dollar gets you access to our Discord. So just like Mario, who I got to have a nice little back and forth about this very episode when we finally saw it. In any case, I've been your host, David Cameo, and I'm joined by Sharon D, aka Blazy Gardner, and Jenna, enthusiast extraordinaire, Survivors tier member, Jasmine T.
Don't add the tea.
Too late. Next time. I'll see you soon, folks. Thank you for enjoying this episode, which felt like a season finale, but hey, we're still going. That's great, though. That's great. I love that this wasn't a season finale, and it felt like felt like a mid-season finale. Number 5, still alive. We'll see you in the next one. Glad, hopeful, and encouraged by this episode. Thank you, and good evening or morning, wherever the fuck you are. Good night.
Bye.
Oh, yeah, bye. Right, Jasmine?
Bye.